The role of the Nigerian police in securing lives and property of Nigerians is critical in nation building. Besides the Nigerian police also collaborating with other government enforcement agencies. However, several issues have been raised concerning their operations. So what are the issues raised and how has the police been able to effectively perform their duties? This is our focus on Panorama, coming to you from the Lagos Network Center. I am Michael Olale. Details in a moment. Nigerian professionals in the Netherlands have indicated their willingness to bring their expertise to bear more efficiently on socio-economic advancement of the country. They stated this at the interactive session with President Muhammadu Buhari at The Hague in the Netherlands. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Among the Nigerian professionals who met President Muhammadu Buhari includes a specialist in tuberculosis management with oversight in 22 countries, budget performance monitoring expert, a research scientist in nanotechnology, a software expert, and a cultural enthusiast of international repute. Speaking on their behalf, the president, Naido in the Netherlands, Julius Nwangpa, applauded the revolutionary initiatives by the Buhari administration in the fight against corruption, development of infrastructure, and economic diversification. He assured the president of their resolve to chart a supportive course in national development by ensuring that all the good things learned in the diaspora are replicated in Nigeria.
It's a country that we learn a lot from, and I would think a lot we can learn from here can also be replicated in Nigeria.
I work in the area of nanotechnology, so we do research on how to develop new technology that will make our life to be better, be it in the health sector, be it in energy sector, and even in agricultural sector.
I've been involved in attracting investments to different parts of Africa, especially Eastern and Southern Africa, and we're looking forward to doing that to selected areas in Nigeria, in the area regarding to infrastructure, regarding to energy, telecommunications.
President Muhammadu Buhari described as pleasing that Nigerian professionals are continually making the nation proud globally, and commended those in the Netherlands in particular for their sense of patriotism.
I congratulate you very much for your personal achievements that brought you here. To be faced with qualitative people like you is what I'm looking forward to. And I'm very happy that you all have home in mind and you are doing your best to make sure that you very well represent Nigeria and Nigerians benefit from being in whatever position you find yourself here.
The senior special assistant to the president on diaspora matters, Abike Dabri Erewa, who coordinated the interactive session, described it as fulfilling and reassuring.
Most importantly is that the belief in the Buhari administration, the kind of image Mr. President is giving Nigeria all over the world is huge. So they themselves are proud to be Nigerians, and they're showing that in their actions, in what they do, and also most importantly in bringing these talents and resources back home, to tackle challenges facing us as a nation.
So your light will continue to shine 24 hours.
From the Netherlands, Adamu Sambo, NTA.
The course now seems clear for Nigeria to sign the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, as majority of stakeholders are in support for the country to do so. Vice President Biemi Oshibajo at the presidency's 8th Business Quarterly Forum meeting held Monday says the administration is committed to making sure that necessary infrastructure is in place for the country to benefit optimally from the Continental Trade Agreement. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
To note about the administration is the commitment to partner the private sector in decision-making on matters of national importance, especially as it concerns the economy. Here again at the 8th Business Quarterly Forum, which centers on trade and investment, participants are discussing what could be the impediments to Nigeria not being a player in the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Nigeria is encouraged to sign that agreement, and then we will go ahead and look at what the domestic difficulties are that should make us be more competitive.
A trade agreement is very, very important for us. It is very beneficial. But then we're just talking of the timing, and we're also talking of things that need to be done before the agreement is signed.
We have already seen our members of the micro and small enterprise are already doing the cross-border trades. For example, in Maiduguri, we saw where 200 trucks of Nigerian manufactured goods are moving twice a week to the corridor of Niger, Cameroon, South Africa, and up to Sudan. No, Central Africa up to Sudan.
It was our initial fear, dumping. But you'll be surprised if you go to Accra today, you go to Kigali, you go to Yaoundé, rather it is Nigerian goods that are being dumped there. We actually have more productive capacity than those countries.
And we are beginning together with the private sector to fill out the details of the modalities of how the framework agreement would be applied.
And I think the most important of them is the fact that there continues to be evidence of continued engagement with the private sector across all fronts.
Apart from the promise that all necessary infrastructure will be put in place, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says government would ensure that the country's interest would always be protected.
We are committed to supporting investors who themselves have shown commitment to being in this economy. To grow additional investment, we are also developing a systematic, data-driven approach towards engaging with international trade partners, which will ensure that we are focused in our approach to entering bilateral trade agreements and that we realize maximum returns from this. Our focus is to create a strong economy that's friendly to investment, that's conducive for growth, and that's resilient to shock.
It would be recalled that President Muhammadu Buhari delayed signing the agreement until wide consultations are made. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifate, NT News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has reassured Nigerians of his administration's commitment to ensuring that corruption does not deny them a brighter future. In his message to the National Assembly Open Week, the maiden edition, the president says to guarantee this, corruption must be fought at all fronts, and there must be coordination among the three basic institutions. These are the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The National Assembly Open Week, with the theme Advancing Inclusive Governance Through Legislative Openness, is geared towards promoting transparency and accountability on the part of the legislators by easing access to parliamentary information. President Muhammad Buhari, represented by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, emphasized the need for harmonious working relationship between executive and the legislature.
I am sure you will remain committed to advancing our change agenda through sustained and effective legislative practices and processes.
The objectives of the Open Week includes improving public confidence in democratic institutions, particularly the legislature, and to correct certain perceptions by the people on legislative duties.
The Open Week ensures that the National Assembly is in tune with the mood of the nation.
That in modern democracy, all three arms of government must function effectively for good governance.
Despite these efforts, a lot more can be done by the National Assembly to improve public confidence in the institution of the legislature and encourage public engagement.
Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Udoma, made presentation on the economic recovery and growth plan of the federal government, while Acting Director General Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, Chidi Izuwa, spoke on infrastructure development challenges in Nigeria. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTN.
The presidency has dispelled some insinuations that the president is not doing enough to combat the insecurity that has devoured the country in recent time. Kehinde Olale brings the details of some of the steps taken, particularly since January 2018, to combat insecurity in the country.
Comprising governors of Plateau and Ondo states, the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, and the National Security Advisor undertook a guided tour of various places of interest in the Agricultural Research Center as part of activities lined up for President Buhari's visit to the Netherlands. Chief Audu Obe said Nigeria has a lot to learn and replicate back home from the agricultural innovation of the Netherlands as the second largest exporter of food in the world.
We're already talking about diversification. That's what we are going to use in taking many people off the streets.
Something has to be done. We must have a policy that will encourage specifically
a lot of the companies that are there in Nigeria to finance research on agric.
The delegation during the visit met the Nigerian postgraduate students in the institute.
The idea that it's only Fulanis who keep cattle in Nigeria is not true. We're encouraging everybody to come in, and when you do return, it's people like you whom we hope we can organize to manage the ranches.
Diminishing water, and shrinking spaces and so on. If you can in some way include it in your research, looking at the security situation, how it can improve this insecurity thing, we would very, very much want to, work with you.
A research finding by the federal government shows that Nigeria has 450 grazing reserves of nearly 5 million hectares of land, more than enough to keep 80 million cows. From the Netherlands, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
That report was actually on the minister's stakeholders meeting with stakeholders in Netherlands. We are sorry for the mix-up. Moving forward, now it is now a punishable offense for any policeman to arrest without being in uniform, and also without necessary order to do so. Lagos State Commissioner of Police Imoimi Edgar made the declaration at the third stakeholders meeting of Area D Command in Mushi. Doindia has the details.
The Lagos State Commissioner of Police Imoimi Edgar, while speaking against the backdrop of the recent harassment of some innocent citizens by acclaimed SAS officials on Lagos Island, says it is a crime punishable under the Police Service Act for any individual or persons to impersonate or carry out specific functions on behalf of the police without uniform and necessary approval by the authority.
No other policeman will carry out operational duties on our streets of Lagos in Mufti. The community will not partner with us if they believe that we are a bunch of irresponsible policemen. Is that also? That is why I'm telling our people that we must clean our house.
The meeting, which allows for cross-fertilization of ideas and suggestions, was also used to address some of the pressing security issues around the Area D Command.
Policing cannot be done by the officers alone. They also need our cooperation.
High point of the meeting was the announcement of 300 additional policemen, a joint team of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad and Rapid Response Team, as well as a radar team to be deployed around Olateju Duro and environ in Lagos, doing Dia NT News.
To speak more on this development, we have the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Imoimi Edgar, in the studio. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
You've just listened to the report, the report, in which you said non-SAS operative must not be in SAS uniform. Can you shed more light on these?
Oh yes, it's an operational directive, and it's born out of the fact that we have been getting complaints. That people impersonating as SAS operatives were carrying out instructions that were not handed over to them by any authority. So we want it to be clear, and let me reiterate the directive. Only those attached to special sections such as the Special Anti-Robbery Unit, the Anti-Cultism Unit, the Anti-Kidnapping Unit are empowered to move around with their overalls, which states very clearly that they belong to those units. Every other policeman involved in operational duties on the streets of Lagos must be in their clean service uniform. The directive is clear. We have passed it on to our men. We don't want people impersonating as SAS operatives when they are not.
Now, let's look at the security situation in Lagos State. What can you say about this?
Well, it's good. Security in Lagos is good, and there's evidence to show that our strategy of community policing, community safety partnership is working. From the crime statistics available, some of which I have here, there's a progressive drop in the rate of violent crimes in the state. Communities now are imbibing are imbibing the culture of partnering with their local police to ensure we have safer communities. And the reports reaching me is that, yes, with minor issues here and there, generally Lagos State is safe.
Recently, there were several cases of cult activities in Ikorodu, Agege, Mushi, even the Bado. So, have you been able to curb the activities of these cults?
Policing is continuous business. However, I'm sure you are aware as much as I am that we have been able to put a halt to the Bado menace in Ikorodu and environs. However, relating to cultism, there has also been tremendous significant achievements in that regard. First of all, my strategy in that in the issue of cultism is two-pronged. The first one is, of course, to go after cultists who have refused to heed our advice to repent, get them arrested and prosecuted. Then secondly, we have gone into active partnership with stakeholders, traditional rulers, local government chairmen, and other well-meaning persons to talk to these young boys and girls to get them to recant cultism. In the last 5 months, about 1,000 young boys and girls across the states at Agbowa, Imota, Ikorodu, Badagry have voluntarily renounced cultism, and this process we are ensuring that we intensify in other parts of the states where we're having issues of cultism. So we are winning the war.
So how safe are these areas?
Ikorodu is relatively safe. Other parts of Lagos are relatively safe, but that does not mean we don't have challenges. Like I said, my own policing strategy is to emphasize more on my strengths and opportunities rather than the weaknesses and the challenges. So as the Lagos is a dynamic city, crime is dynamic. So as the challenges come, the issue there is for us to invoke that clause of partnership in community policing, sit with the people and find solutions to the security challenges, and that's what we are doing.
The issue of robbery in traffic, especially during rush hours within Lagos, within the metropolis, is worrisome. What is the police doing in this regard?
Yeah, but you will not regard that as worrisome anymore. About 3 months ago, we had challenges in that department, in that issue, traffic robberies. However, what I did first of all was to appeal to the Lagos State governor and of course the Lagos State Security Trust Fund for us to now fuse into our security architecture the use of fast-moving small motorbikes to meander within traffic. And fortunately, I was able to get a delivery of 100 of those motorbikes, which I've deployed across the state. And between that period and now, you will testify that we have gotten less and less cases of traffic robberies. Some of these robberies are as a result of traffic gridlocks, traffic snares occasioned by developments in Oshodi, Agege, Pen Cinema, and of course the truck menace along Apapa and Tinkan axis, which gives room for traffic. But with these fast-moving motorbikes, we're able to meander across traffic, and we have reduced that to a considerable level.
Let's go. Let's talk more on personnel. Do you have enough manpower to perform your your duty, considering the complexity of Lagos?
Well, manpower is never enough. However, I'm of the school of thought that manpower is just an aspect of it. Strategy and technology is equally very important. So I have a clear blend and mix between manpower, strategy, and technology in fighting crime in Lagos. And my staff strength now, give and take, is about 28,000. Of course, for a population of over 23 million, you'll agree with me that it's insufficient. However, We are blending very positively the use of strategy, which is community policing, community safety partnership, getting the people involved in policing in their neighborhoods, intelligence-led policing, proactive policing, policing as a process rather than as a function. And with that, and of course technology, we are winning the war.
Yes, you are winning the war. We want to appreciate you for making it a date on Panorama. We hope when next we call on you, be willing to accept our invitation.
Sure, definitely. Thank you.
Moving forward now, Nigerian youth have been challenged to imbibe the ideas and values Nelson Mandela stood for by making a difference in their communities. Some notable speakers gave the charge at a lecture to commemorate the centenary of former President of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. Ken Ebeluhe report that the event was organized by South African Consulate in Lagos as part of activities to mark Nelson Mandela's International Day.
The Mandela International Day 2018 marks 100 years of the birth of Nelson Mandela. The centenary is an occasion to reflect on his life and legacy. It is also to follow his call to make the world a better place for all. The lecture provided a platform for the youth to have a better understanding of the man many described as an icon. Speakers extolled Nelson Mandela's leadership and devotion to fighting poverty and promoting social justice for all.
Today we are gathered here to remember one whose deeds, utterances, example, leadership and demeanor fired our aspirations and conscience.
His accomplishments came at a great personal cost to himself and his family, and his sacrifice not only served the people of South Africa, but he made the world a better place for all of us.
Going down memory lane, Professor Wole Soyinka recalled with nostalgia his several meetings with Nelson Mandela, whose humility is equal to none. Professor Soyinka narrated the humorous side of Nelson Mandela, which he said many do not know about.
I have stayed in prison 27 years or nearly, and finally I'm having a decent breakfast. And still tell me about time.
The youth were not left out in the celebration as they spoke on their understanding of Nelson Mandela. July 18th every year has been adopted by the United Nations as Nelson Mandela International Day in recognition of his contribution to humanity. In Lagos, Ken Ebeluhe, NTA News.
And now to sports. Sport Minister calls for resolution of NFF crisis by the two contenders as FIFA World Cup ends with 169 goals. Amazema